If I'm being honest, Chelsea looking to sell Andrey Santos to Manchester United, for me, would be a massive risk because I understand that £50 million is serious money. It's massive money. But I also understand Andrey Santos wants to start more games for Chelsea or for another club. And look, I understand that Chelsea also have Enzo Fernandez at the moment and Moises Caicedo ahead of him in our pecking order. But strengthening Manchester United with one of our best young midfielders before Xabi Alonso has had an opportunity in pre-season with him, for me, that's a red flag. That's a massive red flag for me because that should not happen really unless United are paying an absolute ridiculous direct rival premium. I'm not talking 50 million. I'm talking a lot more than the 50 mil that's being spoken about in reports at the moment. United need to pay way more. They're a rival. They're a rival. And look, we're going to talk about Andrey Santos in this video, but we're also going to touch on Liam Delap as well, reportedly wanting to stay and fight for his place. And there's a part of me that respects that a little bit, but we've watched Liam Delap last season, so we know that that ain't the be-all and end-all, the answer to what we need. But look, let's get straight into the main story. Let's get into Andrey Santos, who currently Manchester United are exploring a move for him to go to Old Trafford. And the reports are saying that it is still in the early stages. Now, there's been no club-to-club contacts, direct talks or nothing. Chelsea currently value Andrey Santos at £50 million. £50 million. Bearing in mind, they bought him for the fraction of that price. He's been out on loan. He's come back. He wants to fight for his place. And you have to look at this in a couple of ways for me, because he's a good player. Andrey Santos, when you watch Andrey Santos, he's a very good player. And Manchester United are not the only ones looking for a midfielder. Tonali's just gone to Tottenham. Newcastle are currently also monitoring the situation around Andrey Santos. And Andrey Santos is apparently very open to considering a move away from Chelsea because who can blame him? He wants regular football. He wants to be playing regular football. He deserves that. He was one of the best players a couple of seasons ago for Strasbourg. So that part is very understandable. You can't go from Strasbourg being one of the best players there, coming back to Chelsea and being a bit part player. And at 22 years of age, he's already been out on loan. He's well within his rights to want to play regular football, to help his career, to move himself forward. He could have been in that World Cup Brazilian squad that got kicked out last night. He could have been in that squad if he had regular football. But here is the major difference between understanding why Andrey Santos wants minutes and deciding to sell him to Manchester United, whether that's the right or wrong answer. Because, look, you can see why Manchester United are looking at him. And other clubs as well. They need midfielders. We also need midfielders. Let's not forget that. We need midfielders. Dario Sugo and Romeo Lavia are not the needle movers for us that we thought they were going to be. So United, currently, they've been looking at several options. We know that already. If they get Andrey Santos, he gives them the energy, athleticism, the ball winning ability, the potential to improve over, his ceiling can be very high. He's also very young. He's young enough to be part of that midfield at Manchester United that is lacking legs, lacking runners for many, many years. And this is exactly why Chelsea have to be careful, because if United saw Andrey Santos as an average squad player, they wouldn't even be considering to bring him into the team. United don't just go and get the average player. They want to try and build for Michael Carrick. They see him as a solution to their midfield problem. They see him as a big solution. They're not just going to sniff around and have him on the bench like we have. They are interested because they believe there is a very good player in there. And I believe that as well. And Chelsea cannot act as if 50 million is automatically brilliant business because it makes the books, the financial side of things, look really good. Consider what you're doing to the rivals that you're selling your player to. And as fans, that's what we should be cared about. We should only care about that. Because look, £50 million is a lot of money. Chelsea signed Andrey Santos for a much lower price. Yeah, we developed him through loans. We brought him back. Obviously, the Forest loan wasn't that great, but the Strasbourg loan was brilliant. He's now in the first team. From a business point of view, selling him for around 50 million would obviously that represents major profit. We know what these owners are about: major profit, making the books look healthy, all the rest of it. And I understand why the club, from that point of view, look at this and say, yeah, great bit of business. But from a football point of view, a football decision, I've said this before on here, it can not only be judged on the profit written down on spreadsheets. It can't. What happens if Andrey Santos goes to Old Trafford and starts every week, develops confidence, and becomes one of the best young midfielders in the league? We've been there before. Jamal Musiala. We've been there. We've sold talent at the club and we've regretted it many seasons after. This could be another one of those situations where we're allowing someone to go for 50 million and it doesn't make any sense. Because we as fans, we're not going to be sat there celebrating 50 million in the bank profit. We don't care about that. And especially if Manchester United finish above us again, like they did last season. So for me, 50 million pounds is fair in the general market, but it is not enough for me to make Manchester United improve and we've got 50 million in the bank. That doesn't work for me. This is a direct rival that wants him. If we sell him, this has to be premium. Other clubs will do it to us. Now, look, the pathway to Chelsea's first team is very difficult. Caicedo is going to play every game, the enforcer in our midfield. He wins the ball, he covers the spaces, he gives the team that defensive security. Then you've got Enzo Fernandez, who looks currently like he's going to stay at Chelsea. He provides the progression, the creativity. And I've already said, if Enzo wants to stay and he is committed to Chelsea Football Club, then of course we need to see more goals, more assists. So Andrey Santos might be looking at that and thinking, how am I going to get league starts? How am I going to get into this team realistically? So I get it. I get it. And it's a fair question. And he's right to think that. And he's probably looking around and seeing other players that have struggled to get minutes ahead of him before he even got to the club. But there has to be, in my opinion, an opportunity for Xabi Alonso to work with Andrey Santos. Alonso might see Andrey Santos as someone who can play next to Caicedo. He might be someone that you can put in replace of Caicedo in certain matches. Arrive in the box or give Chelsea a physical midfield. So before Chelsea even consider selling him and making a permanent decision, I feel like Xabi Alonso has to assess Andrey Santos like he does for all the players in this team in a pre-season. Selling him before the new manager has properly looked at him, to me, feels like we're just trying to get him out the door because we know that we need to balance the books. And for me, that is not football. That is not football. That is accounting and finance. And that's it. So in this situation, my position is very straightforward. I want to keep Andrey Santos, especially for preseason, at least minimum. And I would tell him that he has a genuine opportunity to earn minutes under Xabi Alonso. All he has to do is work hard. Work hard on the training ground. And then if it isn't working, and if Xabi Alonso assesses him and says, actually, you're not the profile that I want at this club, or I can't work with you, get rid of him. Allow him to leave. But if Alonso sees him as an important squad player, keep him. If Alonso tells him that he will only receive limited minutes and Andrey Santos wants to leave, then Chelsea should then listen to offers for Andrey Santos. But I'll be honest, again, I'm going to come back to this. We can't keep selling players to direct rivals. Manchester United, we're strengthening them. And if it is Manchester United that are pushing the hardest for Andrey Santos, it has to be more than £50 million. Because if it was another other way around, they would be doing exactly the same to us. And the risk is greater when you've got a player that you're keeping in the Premier League and you're trying to compete to win the Premier League. Because we're getting rid of players. We are happy to get rid of players. But we're not bringing in the players. We're not bringing in the Granit Xhakas. So why are we allowing all these players to leave and we haven't even got the like-for-like replacement in? That doesn't make any sense to me. We should be getting players through the door first and then considering to allow certain players to leave. I'm not talking just about Andrey Santos, but other players that need to go. We know who needs to go to the club. I keep saying on here, Benoit Badiashile, Axel Dizazi. I'd even consider Dario Sugo at this point. Jamie Gittins, Alejandro Garnacho has to go. Has to go. It has to go. These are the players that should be top of the list of players that need to go. Because Andrey Santos hasn't even hit his prime. He's 22 years of age. He's got loads of time to develop. That is why I thought we were bringing him into the club. Is it even that bad of a thing for him to be in the mix with Caicedo and Enzo competing for those midfield places? I don't think it is. I think it's probably the best thing that he could do it right now at the club. Because if he's getting meaningful minutes and he's starting matches, what's the problem? I want to talk about Liam Delap because reports are saying that Liam Delap has no intention of leaving Chelsea this summer and wants the opportunity to fight for his place with Xabi Alonso as the manager before he can decide his future. And because this has not been strongly confirmed by major sources, I'll treat this very carefully and say that it's just a report at the moment. And look, Liam Delap, I remember when we signed him, I did say this, and I've been very critical of Liam Delap. I've been very critical, but when we signed him, I could see elements and traits in his game that made me think he's going to be a good striker. But he hasn't kicked on. Now, look, I'm happy that there's a player in the team that doesn't want to just take the easy route and leave, jump ship, go back to Ipswich, go somewhere else. He wants to try and fight. And I like that about him. But you got to prove yourself. You got to prove yourself to Alonso. You got to prove yourself to the fans, to your teammates. He has to now back this up. If he wants to stay, you've got to back this up because Nicholas Jackson's coming back. Emmanuel Omega's in the team. And you got João Pedro, who's just had a whole summer off from not being at the World Cup. He has to show more movement, more consistency, and more threat in front of goal. And the key thing, he needs to score goals. You can't just say all these things and not deliver. You can't. So pre-season for me, Liam Delap is the perfect opportunity to try and take your opportunity. And he has to take that. So look, the final verdict is this. Chelsea should not rush to sell Andrey Santos. Give Xabi Alonso the opportunity to assess him in the preseason. Give Andrey Santos the opportunity to earn a proper role. And if the sale becomes necessary, do not strengthen a rival like Manchester United cheaply as well. A £50 million may look attractive on the books, but selling a talented 22-year-old midfielder to a direct rival carries a massive football risk that has to be reflected in the price. As for Liam Delap, I respect the reported desire to stay and compete, but this preseason has to be the performance, not the promises. Everton have stopped sniffing around him. Newcastle have stopped sniffing around him. If he wants to stay, he's got to kick on. I'm not convinced by it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Would you sell Andrey Santos to Manchester United for 50 million? Or should Chelsea keep him and allow Alonso to make the final decision? And does Liam Delap deserve another opportunity at Chelsea to prove himself? Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow.